Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another video. So in this video today we're going to be looking at a PlayStation 5 which was sent to me. The PlayStation 5 in question was one of two with the same issue that I fixed on this particular night, and I did them both live on YouTube and Twitch. There'll be a link to my Twitch page down below if you want to check me out. You can also become a Twitch subscriber and support me that way if you really want to. But basically what I did was I took the console apart and I started diagnosing it, and this was the first one of two. This is where I actually discovered what was causing this particular issue in what I now know to be a common issue. The reason I say that it's a common issue is because I had two in the space of 2 weeks that had the exact same issue. So what is the likelihood of me getting two consoles in 2 weeks with the same issue where the same components failed? So this was basically my diagnostic and thought process and actually repairing device 1 of 2. Device 2 I've already put up there because it was a bit more of an important video for me. It was a PlayStation 5 which I'm giving to my kids for Christmas, and basically that had the same issue as the one that I'm repairing in this video. But it felt a little bit more important to actually upload that video first because I'd already done another video where I couldn't fix it on that specific device. So this, I know it's a little bit backwards, but this is device number 1 of 2. I'll leave a link in the iCard just above the video if you want to go and check the first video out, and I think you'll enjoy that one as well. I'll go a little bit emotional at the end, I'm not going to lie, just because of the fact that I was giving it my kids for Christmas. But that being said, this is going to be a no power PlayStation 5 repair. There is one other thing that I want to do before I actually get into that video, and that is to give a shout out to a good friend of mine and another YouTuber, and that is Wayne from Wayne's Noob Repairs UK. Wayne is trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. He's so close, he's around about 70 away, and there's 2 weeks to go, so hopefully we can get him there, and hopefully we can get him above 1,000. Wayne is documenting his process of coming from one field to a completely different field. So Wayne was a computer technician, and it wasn't anything like this where it was micro soldering or anything like that, and he's documenting his journey transitioning from being a computer technician to basically a micro soldering technician and diagnosing component level issues. So if you like this type of content, then, you know, number one, subscribe to me, of course. Subscribe to me first because I'm awesome. No, I'm joking, but yeah, subscribe to me, and then if you want to go and check Wayne out as well, I would really appreciate it, and I'm sure Wayne would too. He's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. He's very close, and hopefully we can do it before Christmas. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did find it useful, then, you know, by all means you're welcome to donate. You can become a Patreon supporter, or you can donate directly. Links are in the description. So if it does help you and you want to say thanks, then there is a way to do that. If it doesn't help you, or you don't have the equipment, or you don't have the confidence or anything like that, I'm happy to help. I do offer repair services as a service, so obviously for a fee I can try and fix your device. So by all means you're welcome to get in touch using the website in the video description, consolefix.co.uk. Get in touch, send over your device, and I'll try and fix it for you. So with that being said, enjoy the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. So this PS5 originally went to another repair shop, and they changed the HDMI port. As the customer went to pick it up, it died. So they changed the HDMI port. They left it running for around about an hour. I think it was apparently around about an hour. It worked fine. The customer walked in the door, and as the customer walked in the door, it went into rest mode, and as it went to turn back on, it shut off and doesn't come back on. So it won't come back on at all. So all that it went in for was a HDMI port, and apparently the HDMI port was successful. But after that, it just randomly died. So if we press the power button, let's switch to this camera. There we go. So it tries to turn on, but obviously nothing happens. And then it won't attempt to turn back on. But when you attempt to turn it back on, the power button will beep. Rather, not the power button, the disk drive button will beep. Loads of times. I believe there's a disk stuck in there. But the power button will only beep occasionally. Now, if this looks familiar, that's because it is. This is my own PS5, the one I bought off the customer. This is the PS5 that I couldn't fix, which I found a short on the south bridge. And basically, when I replaced the south bridge, it wouldn't turn on. But look at the symptoms of this PlayStation 5, where there was a short on the south bridge. And yeah, check this out. This one has got slightly different symptoms, but not by much. So you see that? So eventually this one will try and power up the disk drive, and it will try and turn on. And then it'll do that. So it takes a while for this one to actually get any power. But it will make that power supply beep once or twice. Once or twice it will make that power supply, like there for example. But it's not trying to turn on. It's not turning on at all. And that's the one that I couldn't fix with the Southbridge issue. So, are we seeing a familiar pattern on these? So that one's mine. I bought that for £100 as faulty, or as, well, unfixable. But this one here is the one that I'm trying to repair. So the symptoms look very, very similar. Very similar indeed. Get out. There we go. So yeah, it's rather strange because apparently this works absolutely fine until literally seconds after the customer walked in the door. The customer actually saw it working apparently. But yeah, it's very strange how we're seeing very similar symptoms on two completely different PS5s. Same board revisions, but there's only one board revision to the PS5 and that's the EDM010. So I can't see there being a different board revision that I don't know about yet. Unless it's recently got one. They will make a new board revision, I assume. They'll probably make. I heard they was making a slim PS5. I don't know. Heard it in the grapevine. Could be wrong. So yeah, we're gonna get this apart. Hopefully, figure out what's going on with it. With the limited information that I have got on it, you know, on the South Bridge, I can do a few tests and stuff, but a lot of it is going to be guesswork. While that's out of there, or rather while I've got access to it while it's inside the case, let's just have a look at something quickly. So I'm going to test first and foremost, make sure we get 12 volts here and make sure it's not dropping. So make sure we don't lose any power. Because if we've got a voltage drop somewhere, then we've likely got a short of some sort. So in voltage mode, .03 volts. No voltage drop at all. So if I just ground that, 12.03 volts. Interestingly though, when I first plugged it in, it did take a while for it to give 12 volts, but I think that might be normal. But yeah, we got 12 volts there. So if there was a voltage drop, then I would say there's a short somewhere, but it's very doubtful because there's no voltage drop. So it's unlikely that we've got a short. So my initial feelings on this is maybe it could have had some liquid metal spilt somewhere and that's preventing it from turning on. That is possible. Well, that's nowhere near enough liquid metal for a start. Right, I'll have a look at the HDMI area in a minute. I just want to test around the south bridge. So the south bridge is just here on the other side of the board. So it's on the other side of the board, but it's just there basically. So I'm going to check for some shorts around here. We've got a little inductor right at the bottom in the middle. That I'm going to check first. So in continuity mode, one probe on ground. No short. So I'm just going to check all over to see if I can find any shorts which might appear as abnormal. I think that one's normal there. Yeah, I'm not seeing any abnormalities there. Alright, so I don't think we've got any short on the south bridge. If we look at the south bridge, so this here is the BIOS chip. Could be related to the BIOS chip, but that's married anyway. I mean, you could potentially read it and clone it if that was the case, but yeah. What's going on with this little Texas Instruments chip here? That looks a little bit strange. I don't know if that's meant to look like that. I don't think it is. What's all over there? Could just be a bit of gunk. Alright. Well, this is a problem, you see, because we don't really know what we're looking for. What's that? What the hell has gone on with that diode? This diode is to pin 13. It's reading fine, 0.5, 0.6. That's a bit high. 0.663 is a little bit high, really. You need to open line on the other side, but I wouldn't expect it to be that high. Right, let's check the 5 volt rail. 0.504. Yeah, that's about right. 0.54 on the 5 volt return. So I'm looking in this area because the port's been changed. 0.538. 538. That should be open line, yeah. 5.6, yeah. 6.6, yeah. This is the differential pairs, I think. Is it? Are we at the differential pairs yet? I think so. 0.796. 796, that's ground. Should get the same on all of these. Yeah, getting the same on all of them. Yeah, the port's been changed, the small cap's missing, but that wouldn't stop it from turning on. That cap's just a smoothing cap on the 5 volt line, that's fine. I'm not really worried about that, to be honest. I don't think we have any shorts because we're getting good diode readings, but let me just check for shorts. But apparently this worked after the port change, so I can't see it having any shorts. Nah. No shorts. No, that cap won't affect 4K imaging. No, that's you'll still get 4K without that cap there. I've probably had about, I'd say about 10 with that cap missing, and 4K's worked absolutely fine every time. Right, so it could very well be something to do with the encoder, but again, that's doubtful. Very, very doubtful. The problem is we don't really have any. These filters are all going to be fine, by the way. I'm getting a diode reading on every. Oh, hang on. I am getting a diode reading on every one. That's not normal. Huh. I don't know if that's just because I've just basically pushed the solder on the filter. It is possible I've just pushed the solder on the filter, but that bridging, like, it shouldn't be bridged. That could just be what I've just done with the probe. That solder is very, very soft. So I am going to reflow that just to sort them joints out. Freshen the joints up, because I could have done that with the probes. Let me just clean that. Just get rid of the flux off there. The HDMI port can cause a blue light of death, mate, but it would have to be a short on, I think, the 5-volt rail against one of the data lines. Okay, yeah, so that does appear it was just what I did. That solder is very soft. I'm probably better off checking that against these here. If I check, for example, pin 1 and 3, and then pin 4 and 6, etc, etc. The ones in the middle are ground points, and then you've got data line positive and data line negative. So you've got like data 0, this is data 0 positive, data 0 negative, data 1 positive, data 1 negative. You get the drift, and then 2 and 3. So basically, you got a positive and negative on each differential pair, and then you got a ground in the middle as well. Yeah, they're testing fine. I mean, other than, look, there's no real information to go on. We've got no short on the we've got no short on the, what do you call it? No shorts or anything on the HDMI port. I don't think the HDMI port has caused it. The only thing that I can really find that could have potentially caused it is going to be this. There is not enough liquid metal on that APU. And if that was running for a good hour and then it just randomly died, it could well have overheated itself to death. I'm not seeing any spilt liquid metal anywhere. Let's just check. Let's just check these inductors in diode mode. These are around the APU power management. It's going to come up dead short, isn't it, on these? Let me try it on this donor board. Let me just make sure. Yeah, dead short. Damn it. It's going to come up dead short. Ah, you annoying thing. Yeah, so I can't even test them. So this is going to be a really low impedance line, which means I can't test them. Well, I'm just going to look for some, just off view, I'm going to look for some areas which I might be able to test. Yeah, all of those coils are all coming up as low impedance. Well, they're all coming up dead short on they're all coming up dead short on the, what do you call it, on the donor board. I don't think there's any way I can test anything around there, like them VRMs or anything. I think it's all too low impedance. Which is gonna suck. I can't test anything around there. There's not really a lot I can check around the APU. It's all gonna show up as low impedance. These caps here are showing up as 0.15. 0.15 volts on diode mode on the donor board. Yep, same as that. And that one's good. And that one was showing up as 0.02. Yeah. There's not really a whole lot I can test. In terms of power, there's not really a fat lot that I can do. Could be SSD related, but again, as far as we're aware, they're married to the board. If they're not married, they're partitioned in a specific way. I'm not seeing any damaged components. That HDMI port soldering is terrible. But again, it's very doubtful there's going to be anything to do with the HDMI port. It could well be an encoder issue, but again, very doubtful. If it was RAM, then we'd have a blue light of death. There's no other signs of any damage anywhere. So I don't think there's a lot I can do with this board. Because there's no signs at all and no obvious reason why it wouldn't turn on. We're getting power, it's not the power supply, or it's very unlikely it's the power supply. It could be, they are failing. The power supplies are failing, but nah, it's unlikely. I've never known an encoder on a PS5 to on a PS4, because obviously we haven't got much information on these, but I've never known a PS5 encoder to cause no power, like stone dead. I've never known that in all of the PS4 encoders I've changed. I've never known that to happen. I don't think I need the thingy, do I? The disk drive. I know I need. Oh no, I don't need the disk drive. I know I need the disk drive for it to activate the button, the power button, not the power button, the thingy button, the eject button. But without the disk drive plugged in, the eject button won't make a sound. But in terms of turning the console on, as far as I'm aware, you don't need a disk drive plugged in. I'm 99% sure on that. Yeah, it's not not attempting to turn on. As far as I'm aware, the front board is working correctly. I can rule that out. I can completely rule that out by just shorting out the power button to ground with a pair of tweezers. So basically by doing that, touching that resistor, that one on the right hand side there is for the disk drive, and the one on the left hand side is for the main power. But yeah, the power button appears to be working fine. It is recognising a touch. There's no reason why the power button wouldn't work either. But yeah, that is very, very strange. Just to rule it out, I'll supply 12 volts from the bench supply, just to make sure. So to do that, I do need to just remove the power supply, just basically make sure it's not connected, but I still need the power button. So I'll make sure that the power supply isn't connected, because I don't want to backfeed power into the power supply. That's grounded. I'm gonna set my bench power supply to 12 volts, and I'm gonna set my amperage to 5 amps. Turn it on, and we're drawing 263 milliamps. That's not very normal. Yeah, we're getting no life though. Yeah, I don't think that should be putting out 260 milliamps in standby. Well, basically turned off. I think we have got a short somewhere, but I don't think 260 milliamps is going to find it. I could get my thermal camera and try and find it, but I don't think 260 milliamps is going to cut it, to be honest. It is attempting to turn on. Let me hook up my bench power supply and I can show to the PC, and I can show you what's actually happening with it. Right, so this is what's strange. So we've got 12 volts, 0 amps. If I actually make a contact, we're getting 260 odd milliamps draw. Nothing happens for a while when I press the power button. And then all of a sudden, now, and I'll guarantee this right now, I'll be able to press that power button and it's going to activate. See? But it's not actually going to turn on. This was the exact same symptoms as the other one. The other one did exactly the same thing. The current draw would drop. It would drop out on the 1.1 volt rail. And I'll show you that in a minute. Right, now I'll be able to press it again. Watch this. See? It's going to be the 1.1 volt rail which drops out right before I can turn it back on again. So I won't be able to press that. until that drops back down to 0 amps current draw. Check this out. In about 5 seconds. There you go. And that's going to be the 1.1 volt rail. Watch this. Watch this. This is exactly the same issue that mine had. Exactly the same. Alright. Ground. We are grounded. Is that grounded? Yes it is. That nulls the leads. Right, so check this out. 1.1 volt rail on the PS5 is our bottom coil. The bottom coil right on the thingy, yeah, on the south bridge. There's a 1.1 volt rail on the bottom, well, it's an inductor, not a coil. Try and turn it on. We get 1.1 volts. I won't be able to activate this again, so you can visually see this now. It's got 1.1 volts. So the 1.1 volt rail is being enabled. I'll keep pressing this, and the second that drops back down to 0, there you go. The second it drops back down to 0, it will allow me to try and turn it on again. It doesn't make any sense. So it's like the 1.1 volt rail is activating, but nothing else is. I'm assuming what, 5 volts isn't activating, because 12 volt is going to be there from the power supply, and then I can turn it back on again. 12 volt is going to be there from the power supply, so we're going to be missing. I assume we're going to be missing 5 volt. Let's see if we can find a 5 volt rail anywhere. Okay, we've got 12 volt there. So we've got a 12 volt rail. 0.95 volts. Strange. We've got a 12 volt rail there. That 0.9 volts is probably some sort of sense wire, I'm assuming. I don't know. What do we get on these caps here? Nothing. Inductors. Do we get anything on them inductors? No, we don't even get anything on them inductors when it attempts to turn on. Okay, we've got 5 volt. Interesting. So I'm finding a 5 volt rail. I'm assuming that's going to be some sort of 5 volt leg for the HDMI port. We've got 3.3 volts as well. So we've got 1.1, we've got 3.3, we've got 5 volt, and we've got 12 volts. So something's just not turning on. I'm assuming it's 1.1 volt isn't going to the APU. Let me try something quickly. Kevin, if you're still in the chat, mate, I'm just gonna use your PS5 as a. Oh fuck! I just dropped off his screws. Don't worry, I'll find them, and if I don't, I've got a full set. Whoops. I just said I'm going to use his PS5 as a guinea pig for a second. It wasn't me, I swear. I've got a feeling it's 1.1 volt isn't going to the APU, to be honest. So I'm going to use Kev's PS5 for a second, because it's already unscrewed. Alright, so let's pop that out of the way a sec. I think I'm about 3 screws short on Kev's PS5 now. Whoopsie. Whoopsie. Never mind. Right, so guinea pig test number 1, because someone said this in the comments on the last PS5 video I did. Guinea pig test number 1, will it turn on without the disk drive. I'm 99% certain it does. So guinea pig test number 1, I've unplugged the disk drive completely. Ribbon is out. Yes, it does. Does turn on without the disk drive. So that is test number 1. We're learning. Come on. Let's learn together. Test number 2. In voltage mode. Do we get 1.1 volts? Let's just zoom in. Do we get 1.1 volts on this inductor here during normal operation? We do not. We get 0 volts. So I'm assuming that's going to be 0 volts until it turns on. And then we get 1.1 volts. Okay. Next test. Do we get 1.1 volts at these inductors? We do not. Do we get it when we turn it on? We get 0.9, a little bit of voltage drop. We get around 0.9. So when it actually turns on, we do get voltage at them inductors. Do we get 5 volts anywhere here? Oh shit, I've unplugged it. Hang on. What I could do is I could try... Well, no, it's not going to be the power supply. We're getting voltage in all the right places. Right, so that's meant to be a 5 volt rail there in standby. That's ground. That's nothing. There's a 3.3 there. There's a 3.3 there. Assuming that's going to be 5. No, 3.3. Ground. 3.3. What we're meant to get on these caps? Nada. Nada. No, I don't think these are going to create any voltage until I don't think they're going to create any voltage until we turn it on. Right, there's a 5 volt there, and there's a 5 volt there. So there's two little caps here, which put out 5 volt in standby. Damn it! What do we get there? If I don't keep slipping, 2 volts there. And 2 volts there. So 2 other caps just down below it, you get 2 volts on them. 2 volts there. 2 volts there. Alright, so right, I've got a couple of readings to go by. Right, so this little inductor thing here, we get 2 volts. 2 volts. I'm rounding, by the way. I am rounding. 5 volt. Yep. 5 volt. Yep. I'm assuming we've got nothing there until we actually turn it on. I'm going to scan around the south bridge and just see if there's any voltages. Actually, I should do that on the working board. Right, we've got nothing on this where it's F7002. So I'm going to check this on the working board next. Alright, we've got 5 volts there though. And there. And we've got 5 volts either side of that fuse. Damn you. Don't know which side's positive on these. I always get it confused. Never mind. Alright, so let's check the working board a second. So in standby. So a little bit awkward to, well, I could zoom out a little bit, I suppose, just so everything can be seen. So it's this one here, 5, 5, 5, 5. Ooh, hello. Got something different. So I'm getting on a good working board 3.3 volts on this inductor here. How about the other side of that inductor? And yep, other side of the inductor as well. I'm getting 3.3 volts on a working board. Could I have found the issue around by F7002? Right, let's ground that. Interesting. We've got no 3.3 volt rail on this inductor around F7002. So that's just around by the USB port. So just below the USB port on a good working board, I'm getting 3.3 volts here. So I'll get 5 volts here, and then it must convert to 3 volts through the chip. I'm getting nothing, and that actually does appear short. So the reason I say it appears short is because when you are in voltage mode, if you touch the leads together as if they're shorted together, you'll see that the leads will null, or rather the readings will null, and you'll get 0.0. So if you've got a short, like let's say for example I'm grounded and then I touch, like for example there, the leads will null because it's short, quote short. If I'm touching this inductor here, it is showing up as short, but is that just because there's power running through it and the path is complete? So let's just drain any power. Still showing up short. $44 ohms. Oh, interesting. Huh. Was that? Did that just have excess power? No, it couldn't have had excess power, surely. So obviously that's going to show up as short when it's in continuity mode. With power running through it, but we should be getting 3.3 volts on that. So I'm trying to drain that by pressing and holding the power button to make sure we get any excess power out. Alright, now it's... Alright, so that is actually draining, it's just draining slow. That's a bit odd. Yeah, so now it's not showing up as short. So let's just get diode reading. Diode readings are quicker. So let's pop red probe on ground. Oh shit. And that is actually... Oh no, 0.37. But we have still got something different on this. I could potentially... That is actually a good idea, Bob. I could potentially... Because we have got 3.3 volts. I could inject 3.3 volts and just see if it turns on. And if it does, then I've narrowed it down. But we are getting something different on that area. So this chip here, on the good board, we are getting 3.3 volts there. So that is a good idea where, you know, inject 3.3 volts and see if it wants to power on. So if I put one probe on ground, that is actually a good idea. I didn't actually consider doing that. Let's just see if injecting 3.3 volts to that coil. Oh wow, that's drawing 5 amps. Let me just change that. Let me current limit that to like half an amp or something, just to yeah, I might not actually be able to inject voltage, to be honest, because I'm running power from somewhere else. Yeah, I don't think I can do that, to be honest. I don't think that would work. I could probably pull 3.3 volts from somewhere else on the board. It's definitely odd though, because I am definitely getting a different reading there. I wonder where that is. Is that around by that little transistor thing that I found earlier? MOSFET, whatever the hell it is. I don't know what the hell it is. But is that around there? Around that area? Yes and no. It's close, but not close enough. I mean, I could try changing a couple of chips now. Now I've got something to go by. I could try changing a couple of chips, just to see if I can figure it out. So there's 2 lots of components here. There's 1 lot of components here, which there are some wires which go through the board. The wires go through the board to this side, so these could be related. Like the 2 sides could be connected together. In fact, it's very likely. I've checked the port pins, mate. I've checked the port pins ages ago. It's not them. There's no shorts on the port, and the port is brand new. But there's no shorts on the port either. Like, the port pins are soldered properly. They're all connected. I don't think it would affect 3.3 volts anyway. And the only difference that I'm finding here is around this area here. So I'm getting all normal readings here. So we're getting 5 volts on these 2 caps. Sorry you couldn't see. I'm getting 5 volts on these 2 caps. I'm not getting 3.3 volts on this inductor here, or this coil here, whatever it is. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't think it's anything to do with the USB ports. They look absolutely fine. Well, I have had USB ports damaged on these before, but they look fine. But yeah, I mean, USB ports they would be 5 volt anyway, so I don't think it will be related to that. I could try changing this chip, and then if that don't work, I can change the one below it on the other side of the board. But that's the only real differences I'm finding. This might be a to be continued case though, because it's getting kind of late now. So it might be a to be continued case. It's not going to be the inductor, by the way. There we go. Right, let me just clean up and prep these pads ready for the new chip. So I'm going to be taking this off a donor board. The problem is it could literally be anywhere, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this chip. It's just the fact that this chip is linked directly to this inductor, and I'm assuming that this is going to be, if the fuse is on this side, I'm assuming that this is going to be the input side and then of the chip, and then this is going to be the output side. So I'm going to say that this is the only real thing that it could really be. If the chip is responsible for generating 3.3 volts from this 5 volt line, then yeah, it's most likely going to be down to the chip, because that's really the only thing that's come between these two caps here, which I'm assuming are going to be the input, and then this side here. So if we're missing 3.3 volts here, it's very unlikely that it's being pulled down somewhere else. I mean, the way you could find that out is by taking the coil off, and then if you've got, so for example, 3.3 volts here, once you've taken the coil off, then your issue will be the other side, so it'll be on the other side of the board somewhere. But yeah, it's definitely odd. That's for certain. Definitely strange. I can't see why it would suddenly lose 3 volt though. But if this does end up fixable, then might help if I put the soldering iron. If I turn my soldering iron on, if this does end up fixable, then the one that I've got might also end up fixable. Come on, soldering iron, wake up. Thank you. I was just about to say then, is that solder actually going to bond to them pads or not? I mean, to be honest, I don't know. It could be something on the other side of the board. But who knows, this could be, I mean, I don't really know what this chip is. But it could be a boost IC, which could be responsible for taking 3.3 volts from the coil and then generating 5 volts from it. Damn you, don't do this to me. Blu-ray drive. It's not going to be the Blu-ray, mate. I've confirmed on a working board that it turns on without the disk drive, so It's not going to be that, unfortunately. A couple of people said that in comments on the last PS5 I worked on with similar symptoms. They was basically like, well, you need the Blu-ray drive in. You don't. It's not the case. It will still turn on without it. Right, that should do it. That should do it. I think I've put the chip in the right orientation. Oh yeah, I agree, Chris. Yeah, if it was anywhere on the 3.3 volt there, you are right, it would be still present without the IC there. But if it's still got an issue with this IC on it, then it's very unlikely going to be this. This donor board is one of two that I've got, and I know the history of both. The first one had a blue light of death. So the first donor board I ever got hold of had a blue light of death, and the second one had a. So the second one was my own, which worked fine, and I destroyed it for science on a stream. Yeah, there's no way that the chip that I've put on there is faulty. I know 100% that the chip I've put on there is good. So I'm not worried that the chip I've put on there is going to cause any issues. So if there's still an issue, then it was likely not the chip. If there's still an issue, it was likely not the chip. Right, so do we get 3.3 volt back on that chip, or rather on that inductor? Let's have a look. So ground. Boom. We get 3.3. Does it turn on? Does it turn on? Have I just found a common fault? Yes! Honestly, guys, I have no clue how I've just fixed that. But I've just fixed the fucking thing. Boom. I've got to be quiet because the kids are in bed. Oh man. Seriously, how the hell did I find that issue? I honestly don't know. How the hell have I just found that issue? Explain the issue again. From what I gather, okay, so looking at the known good board and testing for standby voltages, there was a 3.3 volt rail on this inductor here. So we've got 5 volts on in standby. Around by F7002 in standby, we've got 5 volts on these two caps here. But we're also meant to have 3.3 volts on this. Let me just grab some tweezers or something to point with. So we're also supposed to have 3.3 volts on both sides of this inductor. So 5 volts here, 5 volts here, 3.3 volts on this side, on both of these sides of the inductor. I was getting the 5 volts here, but no 3.3 volt there. So what I'm imagining is that this chip here is responsible for taking 5 volts and I believe this is probably some sort of a buck regulator, and basically it'll take 5 volts from this side of the circuit and it will convert it into 3.3 volts. The console needs 3.3 volts to turn on. If you probe the power button and the disk drive will both have 3.3 volts on. This appears to be the same issue as my own PS5. the one that I paid £100 for, which I couldn't find the fault on last week or 2 weeks ago, where it would have 1.1 volts and then it would just suddenly drop out when I attempted to turn it on, and it wouldn't come back on for a while. I never thought at the time to, well, I didn't actually have the information available because I didn't have another PS5 available. So there is a chance that I might be able to fix mine. I might be able to fix my own PS5. But basically we were missing 3.3 volts, so I'm assuming that this is responsible for generating 3.3 volts, and that was faulty. Why did it become faulty? I don't know. I don't know. There we go. That's fixed. That's job done. I'm calling that a win. I'm calling that a win. Yeah, there we go. I'm calling that a win. I'm grabbing a fresh coffee. I'm going to try and do the third PS5 of the night. This is going to be sick. But that is a win. That is working.